Hi, everybody. Every refugee has two stories centered around two dates. April 17th, 1992. I was 10 years old. I couldn't complete a fourth grade because of the bombing in Bosnia. I was in northern Bosnia, and at that point, the bombing started to overcome from Croatia into our part of Bosnia. And has anybody here heard of Bosnia by any chance? Raise your hand if you. Okay, I just want to thank you. 1992. So trauma there. Between 1992 and 1995. So here's a second date. It's coming up. I'll tell you anyway. Between 1992 and 1995, I was in a refugee camp in Croatia. Croatia itself, we speak the same language, similar culture. I was in a camp that was former military base, about 3,000 people, children, mostly women, not a lot of men. My father came later after he left Bosnia and was there illegally, worked illegally, because he couldn't get papers because it was of a fighting age. In Bosnia, about 300,000 people roughly 300,000 people have died. We have 1.2 or 3 million displaced. Actually, there's about 4 Bosnians in here. I'm pretty sure they can explain this a little better than me. Don't have to raise your hand right now. August 29th, 1995 is when I came to Roanoke. Every refugee does remember that specific date, at least I do. When we came here, the first struggle is not, so you can tell that I kind of lost my accent. So the first struggle was language, culture, getting acclimated, figuring things out. I was 14 years old. My parents were in their 40s. They left everything. The reason why my parents came here is because we can do something like this, maybe. We can get an education and have a healthy and fruitful life. In 1995, and between 1995 and maybe 2000, what we went is to the regular struggle. We interacted with Refugee Immigration Center, Catholic Common Charities, and I have a couple of representatives here. For 3 months, you get help, you get assistance, and within 3 months, you need to be self-sufficient. 3 months, okay? Now, that's just how it is. We kind of figured things out. My father and my mother started to work. We needed money, so they worked on the weekends. They worked 12 hours a day, Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, 8 to 10 hours a day for, what was it, $5.95, maybe was an hourly rate at that time in the early 90s. At that time, what me and my younger brother are seeing is the work ethic that needs to go into getting through life, right? We're in Roanoke. I went to William Fleming High School. Anybody heard of that? Right? After graduating from high school, I didn't really want to go to college. I didn't know how even that thing works or how things work in here. But I did it anyway. Part-time college, full-time job. Okay, anybody done that before? Right? Wow, okay, so we have people who have figured that one out too. Okay. In 2006, I told my father, it's like, this is taking too long. I really want to do something about it. My brother is already in George Mason, okay? And I go to Radford University. Anybody heard of that place? All right, okay. So in 2006, I go to Radford University. Now imagine, high school, I got 1.9 GPA. If anybody understands GPA, this is low. I didn't know what GPA stood for. But in Virginia Western, I struggled still. 2.6, I can't remember, right? I go to Radford University and I said, okay, here's my chance. I can do something about this. I get a degree in communication. I struggled in communication. So let's just tackle something that I feel like I'm struggling in and builds relationships at the same time, because that's what we all do from day to day. In 2008, I graduated with a degree in communication with a 3.5 GPA. Well, that was good. I finally understood what GPA stood for. 2008, market crashed. I needed to do something. Let me try this graduate school thing. So here I am trying to tackle things again. I go back to Radford University. In about a year and a half, I got my master's in communication with 3.9 GPA. At the same time, my brother, I heard that's a good thing. I don't know what 4 or 5, I don't know. So at the same time, my own brother becomes osteopathic doctor. And he's currently practicing in New Jersey. So, April 17, 1992, war. August 29th, 1995, I come here barely speaking English. It's like, wow, there's a big, until this point, something happened here. Something that I can use to tell others this story and maybe influence them to do something else. And then I figured out that a life is like a stool, right? Well, this is a 4-legged stool. Just imagine it's a 3-legged stool, right? Those 3 legs, you need all 3 legs for that stool to function, unless it'll fall over. So one of them is what our parents told me all the time. You've got to have your health. If you don't have your health, you don't have anything, right? Second thing is, if you have education, you need to be educated individual to make, I guess, appropriate decisions and good choices. And then finally, the third and most important stuff, we got to love each other. Because you start interacting with people that you get to know, like refugees, you figure out they've witnessed a lot of hate. If you see what a genocide looks like at age 10, you heard about the PTSD from the troops that come here. They interact with the world when they're 18 or 19 or 20. When you're 10, it's a different story. It's ingrained in you that you know what hate looks like. Well, then if you know what hate looks like, then you would know what love looks like. Last year, 2 years ago, actually, I met Amy, and I started interacting with our community, and I said, okay, what can I do? Now I'm an adult. I got everything. I turn the faucet on and the water comes out. Not only that, I can adjust and the hot one can come out too. So last year I had an idea, but Ted brought me on stage and I said, okay, Ted, I'm going to run through this. I had no plan and I ran with it and people kind of grasped onto it. But the idea is to get people to get educated. Remember the stool? Right? I know what that looks like, because what you're seeing right now on stage is a result of an environment I was placed in. It's a result of the people that supported me, that believed in me, my own parents who sacrificed a lot to come here and figure things out of nothing. So I said, I need to figure out how to really get people to understand that and get them to school if they can, because if you don't know, when they bring refugees in here, they don't put them in Hunting Hills, they don't put them in Cave Spring. They're in Northwest and Southwest. They're on 13th Street. They're on Chapman when there was 2 people just got wounded 2 weeks ago. Okay? It's like, we need to get them out. That's what I was thinking. So I created, with help of some of the colleagues from Virginia Tech Williams School of Medicine, where I currently work, a scholarship for refugees at Virginia Western Community College. And I integrated with the community, and I started talking to my colleagues. It's like, we need $1,000 to start the scholarship. Let's see if we can do it. They gave me $1,000 because why? They stopped and listened to my story just like you're doing it right now, except they had a lot more days and a couple of years to do that. So I said, are you willing to do this with me? And I said, yeah. So they wrote their checks and gave me some cash, and I really am thankful for them. So June 20th, 2016, World Refugee Day, which is the first one I came to, and I said, I'm I want to introduce something. And so I introduced Scholarship for Refugees at Virginia Western Community College. We started with a $1,000 donation to start it. Right now, we're at around $3,300. So that means I can help about 3 individuals. In fact, tomorrow, I am helping a gentleman from Afghanistan to apply for it. Now, I interacted with him first before I got to know him and then started to apply with him. If you hear his story, it'll be quite interesting. And he left his whole family. I came here with my mother, my father, and my little brother. He left his whole family to come here, get an education, and then support his family, maybe bring someone over. Your heart goes out to these people. And plus, if you get to know yourself there, if you understand how you function, which I understood, my whole responsibility, I found it, is to help these refugees if I can, by at least allowing them and giving them resources to get an education. So I stand here today to kind of tell you that progress, what happened to me is because of you all. Because I at some point interacted with this community. I, just like you, I had parents who taught me how to, pick up and go, taught me how to walk, talk. Then I had friends, right? Everybody had friends who shared, who learned how to communicate, who learned how to play. Then you had your mentors, you had your teachers who said, hey, don't give up, keep going. Who corrected you when you needed to be corrected, who encouraged you when you needed to be encouraged. Now, you also had probably coworkers, mentors, everybody that shaped you and got you to this position. Let's take yourself out of it and put the community in. Let's put Roanoke in there, right? Somebody needs to also figure out that there needs to be resources for the community as well. What I encourage you to do as well is to figure out what your talents are. Everybody here has a story, probably not like mine, but it's very interesting probably to you and to someone you're willing to be vulnerable with. Share that story with people. Figure out what your talents are, because everybody here also has a particular talent. You have to discover that on your own. And utilize that talent to change something. Now, you don't have to change the world, but you can change someone's world. So that's my story for you. And then figure out how can this happen to you. Now you're listening to me and you listen to stories like, oh, I don't have a story like that. No, you do. You have a story of struggle. You have a story of determination. And you have a story when you went through a path that someone else would probably come on as well. Right? And that's all my time. I really appreciate Ed. I want to thank all the people at Virginia Western Community College. Some of them are here. I want to thank people at Virginia Tech School of Medicine. One of them is here. I want to thank my own mother, my father, who took a lot of time. They didn't have a lot of time to discipline me, but it took time for me to understand what love is. And I figured that would be the best way to leave this with. Love each other. My God, that is so important, because what comes out is something like this and something like this. So thank you.